The first snow of December had just begun to drift over New Haven when Emma Carter rushed across the courtyard of the Yale Law School, a stack of constitutional law books pressed tightly to her chest. The stone arches stood tall and silent above her, their Gothic structure blending perfectly with the whisper of winter. New Haven was never more beautiful than when the semester was ending, yet all Emma cared about that morning was making it to Professor Dalton's seminar on time. Emma had always been the focused one, the student everyone quietly admired yet found slightly intimidating. Born and raised in Seattle, she had grown up in a family that believed deeply in fairness and public service. She learned early the power of law in changing lives, watching her mother advocate for marginalized communities. Yale had been her dream since she was 16, and now that she had made it here, she carried that dream with fierce determination. But destiny, as it often does, had plans that extended far beyond textbooks and case briefs. Inside the Langdale classroom, a tall young man with sandy brown hair sat in the very back row, twirling a pen between his fingers. His expression was calm, almost too calm for someone attending one of the toughest seminars Yale offered. His name was Liam Hayes, and he was the quiet fascination of half the class. He spoke rarely, but when he did, his insights were razor-sharp, undeniably brilliant. Liam came from Connecticut, but unlike many of his peers from legacy backgrounds, he had no family lineage at Yale and no army of donors behind his name. He grew up in a modest home, raised by a single father who worked 2 jobs after Liam's mom passed away. Liam's childhood had been built on resilience, and he had learned early that silence often carried more power than words. He noticed Emma the moment she entered, though he would never admit it. She wasn't just beautiful, there was a kind of purpose in the way she moved, a fire in her eyes that made the world around her seem sharper. She had a way of making every debate feel alive. And though Liam had always been disciplined about staying focused on his work, something about Emma made it difficult to keep his heart on lockdown. Emma slid into her seat near the front. Professor Dalton entered moments later, launching immediately into a discussion on constitutional interpretation and judicial activism. The debate escalated as always, but that day, when Professor Dalton posed a question about the limits of executive power, Emma raised her hand and so did Liam. Dalton smiled. Carter and Hayes. The 2 best minds in the room. Let us hear it. Emma spoke first, articulate and confident. Liam followed, cool and analytical. Their arguments collided and complemented, weaving like a dance neither had rehearsed yet both understood instinctively. The room seemed to fade as their voices intertwined, the discussion becoming less about constitutional theory and more about 2 brilliant minds discovering each other. When the class ended, Emma turned to gather her things, but Liam was suddenly standing beside her. "You made an interesting point about due process," he said. Emma blinked, slightly surprised. Liam Hayes hardly spoke to anyone casually. "Thank you," she said, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. "You did too. Especially the part about executive discretion. Maybe we should debate these things more often," he offered, almost shyly. Emma smiled. "Are you asking to study together?" "If you're open to it," Liam said, clearing his throat. Emma hesitated, but only for a moment. "Sure. I'd like that." And just like that, the first spark ignited. They chose to meet later that week in the Sterling Law Library. The building was majestic with its cathedral-like ceiling and warm golden lamps casting a soft glow over rows of wooden tables. It was the kind of place that made even exhaustion feel poetic. Emma arrived early, as she always did, spreading her notes neatly across the table. Liam showed up minutes later, slightly breathless even though he would insist he didn't run. For the first hour, they actually studied. Or at least, Emma did. Liam mostly watched her out of the corner of his eye, admiring how she bit her lower lip when she was deep in thought. Eventually, Emma noticed. What, she asked, laughing lightly. Nothing, he said way too quickly. Just, you're very focused. And you're very distracted, she teased. Their eyes met, and for the first time, Liam didn't look away. Maybe, he admitted. It's hard not to be. Emma's cheeks warmed. No one had ever caught her off guard so effortlessly. They kept meeting after that, sometimes by schedule, sometimes by coincidence, sometimes because one of them simply couldn't stay away. They debated everything, from Supreme Court rulings to what coffee spot near Chapel Street was best. Slowly, quietly, beautifully, something deeper began to grow. One freezing January evening, when New Haven streets were dusted in snow and the night sky sparkled with stars, Liam and Emma found themselves walking back from a late study session. The campus looked like something out of a postcard, timeless, peaceful. Emma wrapped her coat tighter. I swear, Yale winters have no mercy. Here, Liam said softly, offering his scarf. She shook her head. You'll freeze. I'll survive, he said, draping it around her anyway. Their hands brushed. They didn't pull away. They walked in silence until they reached the steps outside the main quad. Emma paused, turning to face him. You're different from everyone else here, she said. How so? You listen. You think before you speak. You don't try to impress anyone. Liam exhaled a soft laugh. I'm definitely not trying to impress anyone. Emma raised a brow. Not even me, and there it was, the moment when the world seemed to hold its breath. Liam stepped closer, his voice low. If I said yes, would that be a bad thing? Emma's heart fluttered. No, she whispered. Their lips met gently at first, then deeper, as the snow drifted around them like a blessing. It was quiet, pure, and perfect, two souls finding each other in a place built for ambition, yet made for love. The months that followed were a blend of passion, stress, and shared dreams. They faced endless case books, moot court competitions, and the pressure of clerkship interviews, but they faced all of it together. Their bond only grew stronger. Liam admired Emma's unwavering dedication to public interest law. She admired his brilliance and quiet strength, how he carried responsibility not as a burden but as a vow to his father's sacrifices. But love, even the strongest kind, does not erase the challenges of ambition. During spring semester, both applied for the same prestigious internship at a top human rights organization in D.C. There were only 2 slots, and 3 finalists, Emma, Liam, and another top student. When results came in, only one had been selected early. And it wasn't Emma. She congratulated Liam with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. I'm happy for you, she said softly. But Liam saw the disappointment she tried to hide. Emma, he began. No, don't, she insisted. You earned it. Really, I'm proud of you. But the ache lingered, creating a quiet tension between them. A week later, Emma received an offer from a civil liberties group in Chicago, a position she had dreamed of, but one that meant spending the entire summer away from Liam. When she told him, Liam hesitated. Chicago is far. I know, she said. But this is my path, Liam. I can't turn it down. He nodded. And you shouldn't. For the first time, they didn't have an answer for the future. The summer apart was harder than either expected. Time zones, workload, exhaustion, they fought for every moment to call or text, but sometimes days slipped by. Emma missed Liam like a missing heartbeat. Liam missed her like air. But distance, instead of weakening them, clarified everything. One late August evening, Emma stepped off a train at New Haven station. She had told Liam she'd return the next morning, but she couldn't wait. Her suitcase rolled behind her as she crossed campus. When she reached the courtyard outside the law library, she saw him sitting on the steps, headphones in, laptop open, unaware she was watching him. His hair was a little longer, his posture a little more tired, but to her, he looked like home. "Liam," she called. He looked up and froze. "Emma." She dropped her bags and ran. He caught her instantly, lifting her off the ground as she laughed into his shoulder. When he set her down, tears shimmered in his eyes. "You're early," he whispered. "I couldn't wait," she said, cupping his face. "I missed you." Liam didn't answer with words. He kissed her instead, long and deep, the kind of kiss that erased months of distance in seconds. "I love you," he murmured against her forehead. Emma froze, breath catching. He had never said it before. But she had felt it in every debate, every smile, every quiet moment. "I love you too," she whispered. And it felt like the most natural truth in the world. Their final year at Yale was golden. Busy, yes. Stressful, always. But their love became their anchor. They studied together, challenged each other, cheered each other's victories. On the day of their graduation, beneath a canopy of blue and white banners, they listened to speeches about justice, leadership, and the future of law. After the ceremony, Liam asked Emma to walk with him to the Sterling Library where it all began. He led her to the exact table where they had once fought over constitutional questions and stolen glances. "Do you remember," he began, "the first time I realized I loved you?" She smiled. "Probably when I corrected your citation formatting." He laughed. "No. It was when you told me you wanted to change the world not for recognition, but because you believed people deserved better. You reminded me why I came here in the first place." Emma's eyes softened. "And you reminded me that love doesn't have to compete with ambition." Liam took a breath and reached into his pocket, pulling out a small velvet box. Emma's heart raced. "Liam. I know we're just starting our careers," he said, "and the world is about to get complicated. But I want to walk into that world with you. As your partner. As the person who believes in you more than anyone. Emma Carter, will you marry me?" Tears welled in her eyes as the room blurred. "Yes," she whispered, her voice breaking. "Of course yes." He slipped the ring onto her finger, and the library that had once housed only books now held a new story, one written in the quiet language of love and purpose. Outside, the bells of Yale rang proudly across the campus, echoing through the courtyard, the halls, and the hearts of two young lawyers ready to begin the rest of their lives together.